Thank y'all for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for enduring the weather. Now, please be careful on your way home. I don't expect, or the weather right now, they say it should not be iced, but again, you never know. Trying to predict the weather is like, well, I won't go there. You just don't want to do that. The city officials, thank you very much for being here. For starting, we got Ms. Becky Gaddisa with the city secretary. LPD, we got Lieutenant Snodgrass back there. With Fire and Rescue, we've got Chief Fogerson. Brooke Witcher for the city manager. Ms. Jessica McCurchin, city manager. LP&L couldn't make it probably because of the weather. Stuart Walker with code enforcement. Steve Green with Lubbock Animal Services. And I want to keep this as informal as possible. Let's just have a dialogue, try to answer your questions. If we can't, we'll take your phone number. We won't ask for your address. We'll take your phone number and somebody will get back at you at a later date. Very important. But before we get started, I'd like to bring up Chief Fogerson first to say some words for us. Thank you, Chief.
Good evening. I'm Fire Chief Sean Fogerson. I just want to thank everyone for coming and thank everyone for all the support that both the fire and police departments have received. It's been overwhelming. A tragic loss for both of our departments and for the city. We lost two great men who were very humble servants, who loved their jobs, put their whole hearts into it, and they will be missed. But thank you for being the Lubbock that you are and coming out and supporting us, because it really does make a difference. Your kind words of condolence have really raised our hearts up. And please continue with the prayers for firefighter Matt Dawson. He's doing a little better today, so the prayers are working, and we really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. And Miss Stacy McKenzie, Director for the library. Please come up here, ma'am.
Thank you so much for coming to our Mahon Public Library. I hope that some of you are coming here for the first time, but I also hope that it won't be your last time. You're in a place where lives are changed every day. Just one quick example, this morning I had to shut my office door because it overlooks the children's area. And we were having quite a lively story time. Some song about pizza is just running through my head constantly. And later on in the day, I was in my administrative assistant's office. We were doing all those important, busy things we did. And right next door to her office, I was hearing a gentleman, an adult man, who was learning how to read from our Literacy Lubbock group. So that was very encouraging for me. I hope it is for you. Like I said, we change lives. Sometimes we just make your day more fun. But for the most part, appreciate you coming, appreciate your continued support. And thank you very much for having your town hall here.
Thank you, ma'am. This is open for questions, conversations, no format. Let's just keep it friendly. I will ask you to please turn your phones on silent or turn them off, whichever's best. The restrooms are located right outside the door on your right-hand side. And thank you very much. We'll try to answer your questions again. We will be asking you to please use the microphone because this is being broadcast or being recorded to be broadcast later on our website. So if you don't have the microphone, they will not hear what your response or questions are. I've got one mic, and Angelica back there, she's got a mic also. So let's open it up. First question. Hang on for the microphone.
Good evening, Councilman Chadis.
Good evening.
As you're aware, I'm a downtown property owner and a business person. A couple questions I'm interested in seeing your response to is I need an update, if you can, on the downtown PID, Public Improvement District. I think you're aware of that. I think y'all want to have some discussion on February City Council meeting on. And then could you inform myself and the public on the status of the downtown revitalization project, if you would, please.
Okay, what is it that you want to know?
what's going on with it.
Okay, on the PID, Ms. Jessica, you want to help us out with that?
Do you want me to come up there? Is it okay?
Whatever you're
I'll
comfortable
just do
with.
right here. So on the downtown PID, as you know, the master developer has been hired and asked and tasked with putting together that downtown PID. McDougal Companies is our downtown master developer. They are still working on that. To my knowledge, though, I don't know that it's getting as much traction as they had desired, and so at this point, it is still not put together. So as of right now, we do not have a PID created. So still in the works, potentially. And then you had another part of your question about downtown revitalization?
Yes, would you update us? It's been a couple years since it's been a couple years since the city has said anything. Even the master developer hasn't really put out any information. So can you give us an update of what's going on? I'm sure this is Councilman Chadis' district, so he should have some information, if he would, or the city to relate to us.
That's why we brought in different heads of different departments so we could all answer these questions, Pat.
Absolutely. So I'm going to take a stab at this one. Keep in mind, I'm going to play the new card still. So I'm not sure from a couple years back what all the different things were. I know that there have been numerous plans over the years. Starting back in 2008 was the first downtown revitalization plan that I'm familiar with. And then again in 2012 and 2018, there were some updates. Those continue to still be active plans and things that the city is working towards. There is a new downtown master plan that is expected to be presented to the city council at their next meeting on January 28th. We are anxiously waiting to see that report, and it will have a lot of recommendations as well for future revitalization efforts for downtown. So stay tuned. In 2 weeks, we'll have a lot more information on the updated plan.
Anyone else? Victor, please.
Thank you, Councilman. I guess my main question is, how is county government and city government, how do they working together in all the issues of our community?
I would like to say that we're reacting very well to that. Again, at this point, we don't have a set date where we can exchange ideas. I'm in contact with a couple of the commissioners as well as the judge. If there's anything that's pertaining to, that will affect both of us, we usually get together. It's an open line of communication is what we're having at this point.
So that's something that has been working to where county government and city government, they work together on all the issues. As the city is in the county and it affects everybody. So that's something that it's been going on, and county and city government work together on all of the issues, if you will.
I would like to say yes to that, especially with the county judge, the judge, Judge Parrish, very open-minded. He's always open for suggestions and easy to work with.
I'm sorry, I keep on asking questions, but is there ever been a time where city government was not able to get help or the right answer from county officials?
To answer that, I am not aware of that. If it has happened, I've been in office for 3 years. I haven't had that experience.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Let's go to Sam, and then we'll go to...
I've got a very basic question. So what you're saying is county and city government overlap one another, or do they run parallel with each other? Or I didn't think that they overlapped.
Well, there's...
That's a question that popped in my head.
Not that they overlap. We work together. If there's something that the county needs, that they think that we as a city might have some effect on it, the communication lines are open, always have been.
Yeah, okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand the cost, the overlapping, the dual cost, that type of thing is what I'm.
Well, because there's some areas in the city that do not belong. There's some areas in the city that are part of the county for, let's say, District 3, for example, overlaps into the city also. And that's part of the county. So sometimes, well, again, it's just open for discussion. That's what it is, Sam.
My name is Gwen Reyna. I'm with the, I'm an, I guess, advocate, aka so many, what is it, jack of all trades, a master of none? Okay, but I'm coming to y'all guys as a citizen, and as a mother and a parent. In my district, I have talked to so many, attended meetings. We have an outcry. We have a lot of crime happening in our districts. I don't feel, as a mother, I feel that we're getting into parent involvement. And it's not only about our schools, it's about our juveniles. What can we do because I've tried to attend neighborhood association meetings, nobody has a clue. I feel that we need to actually, as you being District 1, this is a meeting that I haven't seen in a while from our own district. How come we're not having more meetings from you in our District 1? Because this is the first of that I've heard in a long time, and I do follow you.
Yeah.
What can we do to help you as a citizen? What can I do?
Right now, I'm already looking at having another meeting sometime around March or April. I'd like to maybe put them every 6 months. What can we do? Okay, the crime problem. If you look at the crime statistics right now, what's going on right now, a lot of broken families, a lot of children being raised by a broken family, one parent, sometimes not even the parents are participating. Sometimes it's grandma, sometimes it's an uncle, a tío out there. It is a problem. What can we do about it? For example, if your neighborhood or if your neighbor, if that child is having a problem, when I was growing up, it took a neighborhood to raise a child. Now it's one of those, let's not worry about it until it happens. Well, it's a lot easier, and there's an old adage, it's easier to educate than incarcerate, which is very true. But if the people out in the communities don't take an active role, and I'm talking about the neighbors, it's one of those, it's not my child, it's not my problem. Well, you know what? It is your problem. It is our problem. Crime is a problem. Drug abuse, mental health issues, it is our problem because eventually it will affect you, your neighbors, or someone in your community. We turn a blind eye, or again, the old, it's not my problem. Well, again, it will be. If it's not, it will be. Ms. Becky.
Also, to answer that question, because you may not have thought of this, we do have the community engagement meetings once a month, and those are open to the community, and I think there is information that gets put out there, and that is a forum, and a lot of them are held in this district.
I've attended many of those.
Okay, so that is a forum
some
for
of the stuff
some of these
but that's
meetings.
just the thing is that, being, once again, I've attended those forums, and we've had a lot of questions, but not a lot of things are happening. We've been having our doors closed. Like some of us want to, we want to bridge that gap because you guys can't. It's times are passing. They're getting harder. So I'm not attacking anybody here tonight.
No, of course not.
I just want to be a resolution to the problem. My biggest thing was that we did a parent safety last year when there was an issue that was brought to our local school. And y'all have done stuff because there was one person that did an outcry. Okay, and I applaud y'all because we're doing what we can. But as a citizens, sometimes it's not getting done. I walk the streets of our schools and I'm still seeing bullet cases. We have to do something. And I don't want to wait till that. Now we need to, because y'all are about to make a decision about arming our schools. What can we do to stop? I'm not for that. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm bringing up to you.
I'm personally on arming the schools. Again, it's a personal issue. I don't like the idea either. But again, how do we take control of our streets? I get the phone call in the middle of the night that they're shooting a pistol in the Arnett Vincent area. And I asked the individual, did you call LPD about it, 911? The response that I normally get is, I don't want to create a problem for myself. And Lieutenant Snodgrass is over there. And I tell the person on the phone, they're not going to ask you for your phone number. They're not going to ask you for your name. LPD wants to know there's somebody out there in the streets shooting a rifle or a gun or whatever, creating a problem. But if we, excuse me, if we don't make that phone call, again, it didn't get reported, it didn't happen. We have, again, I can't emphasize it enough, how important it is for us to take control of our neighborhoods, of our streets. There's a problem, get on the phone. If you hear somebody, your neighbor talking about it, ask them, did you call? What did you do about it to address that issue, that problem? And most of the time they'll say, I don't want any problems. To me, the phone call wasn't placed. Alice, before I go to you, Judge Hernandez, you want to make some comments?
Let me introduce myself. I'm Jorge Hernandez. I'm the municipal court judge here in Lubbock. And I wanted to visit with you and let you know what's going on in municipal court. I want this to be spread to all the citizens of Lubbock. So I thought I'd come to the town hall meeting and see if in this district we can start spreading the word. First of all, I want you all to know that in municipal court, we have a safe harbor provision. And let me explain that. A safe harbor provision is that anybody who's got active warrants from municipal court, they can feel free to come to municipal court and make arrangements to take care of that. So in other words, you come to municipal court, you're not going to get arrested. I'll guarantee you that. Okay? So if you know of anybody who has warrants, tell them to come to municipal court. We'll sit down, my staff will sit down with you. If we have to, we'll set up a hearing with me. But we want people to take care of their warrants, because if you have warrants, if you have active warrants, you're not going to be able to get a driver's license. If you don't have a driver's license, it's going to be very hard to keep a job. So let's take care of that situation. Come to municipal court and take care of it. We have other type of programs going on in municipal court, such as homeless court. We have the teen court also that's been taking off and is doing great. That's a program that we're doing in conjunction. We got LISD involved in that. And so we feel real good about that program. With homeless court, we are partnering up with Family Promise to try to make some kind of difference into the homeless situation. So again, please, if you need any more information, please call municipal court, call me. I'll be glad to meet with your groups. I'll be glad to come to your meetings, but I need the word to come out. Municipal court is not really a court that we're trying to put people in jail. We're trying to help people who have warrants so they can get their driver's license, they can provide with their families, they can keep jobs. So in a nutshell, that's what I wanted to say today. If you have any questions, I'll be back there. I'll be glad to answer them. Mr. Chadis, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Judge. Ellis, please.
Yes, Councilman Chadis, my name is Alice Lozada, and I live in the Guadalupe neighborhood. And thank you for joining us. We have a newly formed North Lubbock Neighborhood Association, and we appreciate you being there and sharing information with us. One of the concerns that had been raised had been about animal services. And so one of the issues had been that they had a dead dog out in the middle of the street, and they called, and that poor dog had to be covered up through the weekend, and there was nobody available to take care of the matter. So the poor dog was out there in the middle of the street. So what would be the best way to handle situations involving animal control for a situation such as that?
We happen to have Steve Green, Director of Lubbock Animal Services.
Thank you. The best way to handle that is to go ahead and just call our services. On a deceased animal like that, it's going to be a low priority, but we do have officers running field operations 7 days a week. So even on weekends, we are going to get out there, depending on the caseload, as soon as we possibly can. A lot of citizens don't understand that we do have field operations running on the weekends. So a lot of times they'll wait and call in on Mondays, and that increases the workload. Monday's usually our busiest day of the week. So I would say just call in, and if you call like, say, 9 o'clock in the morning, if it hadn't been picked up by that afternoon, call back. And just kind of the the squeaky wheel gets the grease, so to speak. And we do have to base it on a priority basis. And if we have any emergencies come in, we're obviously going to go and handle those first. But we do want to pick up deceased animals for many reasons.
When you do make the phone call, please ask who am I speaking with. That way, when you call back, in case it didn't happen, you'll call back and ask for that same person again. Have that dialogue open. It's really nice when you call up and somebody says, well, who did you speak with? Well, I spoke with Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, and they can direct you to that person. And also, if sometimes they cannot make a commitment, we'll be there in 8 hours. But ask anyway, how long will it take for you to get to this site and come up with solve the issue?
And Councilman, if I can add on
Please.
to that too, if you have something like that, like a deceased animal, give us the best possible location. A lot of times people will call in and say, well, it's between 48th and 50th Street, and it might be on 34th Street. So if you can give us a landmark or an exact location, 100 block, if it's covered up with something, be sure and tell us, because a lot of times officers are just looking for a deceased animal and they don't understand it's under a towel or in a bag or what have you. So give us as much detail as possible.
You indicated that you go by priority, and
Yes,
that
ma'am.
would be considered a low priority. I just was asking what would be a high priority.
High priorities are going to be aggressive animals, especially in the act of attacking somebody or another animal at that time. Bite investigations are going to be high priority. Police assistance, other department assistance. A lot of times if there's an agency assist, we have to go to that first because of limited manpower. We want to get out there and try to assist the other departments first. And so we do kind of have a list of priorities going from human and animal safety on down the list, because at the heart of it, we are a public health and safety department.
Manny, you had a question, Manny?
Yes. I was just wondering, I know y'all put on these deals every once in a while where y'all can take, or we can take our dogs and get them neutered or spayed, and I believe the last time was at Maggie Trejo.
Maggie
Y'all were
Trejo,
giving out
correct.
vouchers and giving shots and all that. How often do y'all do that, and who funds that? I'm just saying because I know there's a lot of people that have animals or pets and really aren't responsible enough to keep them fenced in, and they're out there roaming around, and they're gonna reproduce, and we do need to put a stop to that or kind of limit that. My question is, how often do we do that, and where do we get the resources for that?
How often that happens is kind of a lot of times those are private groups that come to us and want a partner with us. I know a while back we did one with Save and Grace Pit Bull Rescue. As far as the actual vouchers for the spay and neuter, that's funded through the city license that you purchase for your animal. That goes into fund, and that pays for the spays and neuters on adoption animals and for the income assistant vouchers.
Henry?
Okay, we have a citywide problem, but I'm going to narrow it down to where I live, which is the Guadalupe neighborhood. Every 4th of July, fireworks are discharged like crazy in that neighborhood and all over town. I understand not only are they dangerous, but it's against the law. And we need, as a city, we need to clamp down on those offenders by putting out more citations and stuff. There's a 2 blocks down, there's people get a permit to have a block party. They are the worst offenders, and yet they justify it. We got a permit to have a block party, so they fire off fireworks late, and a lot of them. I would like to see something being done where that law is enforced.
I don't have the lieutenant here, but the permit that, I'm familiar with the area that you're talking about, the permit was not issued for fireworks. It was issued for the, I think it's a slip and slide or a slide, a little pool. But correct me if I'm wrong, City Manager, we don't issue permits to individuals for fireworks. Now, as far as, yes, ma'am.
Most of the recreation permits are issued out of my office. And no, you are correct, though they have a permit to do certain things, they don't have a permit to violate the law. It's still against the law. So if they are doing that, call PD, and as far as enforcement, that would have to be a PD discussion or answer.
Yeah, but if they are doing the fireworks, it's a phone call. Again, priority, triage. Will they show up immediately? They might not. Unfortunately, a fire chief is here.
Sir, I don't want to answer for the police department, but I can tell you this last 4th of July, they increased patrols and they did hand out more citations than in the past. And the fire department, we actually put on extra personnel who were dedicated solely to fireworks patrols. I can tell you for the year 2019, between Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Christmas, we handed out, or we responded to over 250 fireworks calls. It's a matter of numbers, that it's so widespread on the days that it's happening that we get to as many as we can. But if we put everybody on the fire department on duty, we couldn't get to them all. But we are increasing that, and that has become a priority for both the fire department and the police department to step up that enforcement.
Greg, when I go home, I'm going to tell that to my little dogs, because they go nuts.
I know. It's very hard on animals. It's also very hard on veterans or people with post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's why we've made it a priority. Not to mention that it is a fire hazard, especially in our dry West Texas winters. But we have made that a priority, and we're going to increase our patrols for that and find better ways to enforce that.
Well, I think using the media would be an awesome deterrent, letting them know ahead of time, if you do this, this is going to happen.
Yes, sir. We put out through our public information outlets, both with the city, the fire department, and the police department. I know I shot a couple of videos with Mr. Robles for the city channel, but we also had the popular media outlets, the news channels. At every broadcast, they were reminding people that it is against city ordinance. You can be fined up to $500, and we were stepping up enforcement. I think it might take a few years to where we have a wider coverage and we hit more of those people, but I think we're knocking them out just a little bit at a time. But we hope to see that improve.
I was just going to add on if maybe we could get help from the outlets that actually sell the fireworks to maybe put some type of input and either tell the people as they sell the fireworks too, because those outlets do, they mean a lot to a lot of groups. They're fundraisers for different groups, and so, once you tell the fireworks, you're selling them, that's why we're burning them or firing them. But if they could be a little bit more into the problem or the issue, is to remind people to clean after themselves and do not litter, and to be cautious as to where they're allowed to be, popped. If we could get a little bit help from them, I think that would help, everybody as a whole.
Good suggestion. And again, as the chief mentioned, the city does, on TV, on radio, and the print, letting people know that that it is against city ordinance to be inside the city limits with these fireworks. And again, if there's not enough police force or firemen out there to patrol every place whatsoever, or every place out there, they're going to go not unnoticed, but not everybody's going to get cited. Now, if I understand it correctly, they can't cite you unless you get caught with the fireworks, or firing them up, or whatever it's called. So you got to get caught doing the infraction. Go ahead.
Okay, I have one question. As far as, if we, as the city, voted for some issue to be passed, and years later we saw that it was an outgrowing problem, how do we get that issue back on the ballot to correct the problem? Let me just use for an example, making the city wet. I know that, for the longest time, it brings revenue to our college, it brings, but like the games and stuff like that, I'm seeing this is part of a lot of the problem. So how do we do that? Is that possible to put that back on the ballot? Because it was, you know what I'm saying? Does
I
that make
understand what
sense?
you're saying.
Okay.
Becky, any suggestions from one of the city managers? I know it would take another vote.
But is it
can
possible? Yeah,
but
what are
can
the
it- can it-
steps to take this
Yeah.
in consideration?
That was, yes, that election was actually a countywide election that occurred, and the best answer we can give you today is leave your name and number, because we would have to have our attorneys research what we would have to do. In the process for that first election, it was organized, people that signed petitions, in the thousands of numbers of people that signed those petitions. It would not be an easy thing to reverse, but I don't have an answer for you. I do run elections for our city, but that's a legal question.
Okay.
So if you want to leave your name with Angelica, and we'll see what we can find out for you.
Sam, and then we'll get to you, Pat.
I really don't have anything to ask. I'd just like to make a statement. Perhaps the state law would enforce statewide where fireworks is not a for sale for some of the public that just going out there firing these things off irresponsible, and just have them for the purpose of celebration events where they're worthy for 4th of July or New Year's, instead of the public just having their hands on them, because it's getting to be where they're just totally irresponsible. That's all I wanted to say. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, Pat.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm an advocate for affordable housing, and I know the community development is in the process, city community development is in process of redoing their board. I think it's very important for District 1 with the social economics we have there. Where are you at trying to find a qualified applicant for that board? So somebody like me, there's a position on that board. I would like to be on that board, but it also has to be a affordable or low-income person, however you want it. But
Right.
There's positions there for people who doesn't fit in the qualifications as low income. Where are you at that? Because I'm willing to step forward, as you know, to be on a board like that, because I'm an advocate for affordable homes. I think that's important for District 1.
Okay. The Community Services Development Board, CDSB,
That's correct.
everything is being restructured at this point. I think it was in the paper just a few days ago. There will be 9 members. I think right now there's 16, 17 members. It's a big number. Most of these, there'll be 3 appointed, there'll be 3 officials, and there'll be 3 from a low to mod income neighborhoods. Okay, and they will be, I want to see if I get the terminology correct. They will be, Becky, what's the terminology? But it's not an election. They're not elected. No, it's not an appointment.
Yes, and you, right,
Yeah.
for the community. You recently, probably, Lacey put out a press release for us on what we were soliciting, and I'm saying we asked her to put it out, but it's really Community Development Department. And Councilman Chadis, if you want to, this is what those 3 positions will be elected. From what I understand, Councilman Chadis is going to read what the requirements are. The council will not be appointing these. They will be appointing these people, but they cannot select these people.
Okay. It says low-income democratically selected positions. To qualify for this position or positions, you must reside within Lubbock County in a low-income area where at least 20% or greater of the total population is at or below poverty level. I think that excludes you. And to see if you reside in the designated area, please visit mylubbock.us community development. So I think that answers your question.
Karen Murphy.
I know that I wanted you to discuss that people are going to watch on Channel 2 that's not getting enough press. I've been advocating for it, but that's not my job as a private citizen. It's your job as a city councilman for District 1. It's the city of Lubbock's responsibility.
But if you want to participate in these boards and commissions, it's your job to apply for them.
I just said I did.
Yeah, okay.
And let me just tell you, and maybe Lacey can add more to it, but I work for the city council, so on behalf of the city council, we're soliciting these applications.
That's why I'm
And
saying
so
this.
They are, and then Lacey, public information officer, she puts out information for us on social media, et cetera, and it actually, this is a new way to solicit for this kind of a board, but when we solicit for other boards, we have had a lot of success with Lacey's help.
I agree with you. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just trying to help you
Thank
get it
you.
out.
Thank you. And to continue on that, the TDHCA is the one that's mandating this. It's not the city that's doing this, okay? It's coming from Austin.
Actually, I think Karen Murphy at Community Development is
Yeah, but
the point person.
she's the point person, but there's somebody else a little bit further up saying this process has got to change to this new procedure is what we've got. Yeah. And while you bring that up, I'd like to remind the people out there listening or that will be listening to this, there's 49 boards out there, 49 boards and commissions. We need people to apply for these boards and commissions. Out of 49 boards, there's got to be something out there that fits your criteria, that fits your expertise or something out there that interests you. And anytime I meet with people, I ask them, apply for these boards. They're out there. Some of these boards are very strong, make very big decisions.
Because that's another thing, as far as like a point made, is that there was a program for our district that, for low income and for like heating and cooling, let's just make that an example. Well, when I called to get information on it, they said no, I could not because I was in a flood zone. So therefore, that threw me out of the thing. So that's where I was all like, okay. But they said that that's money for us, for renovation or for improvement in our homes, and we were already declined it because we're in a flood zone. So that's what I want to.
Excuse me, the flood zone in Arnett-Benson has been okay. FEMA is the one that is going to, the city's done their part. Okay, let's start there. You're no longer in the flood zone, but you are until FEMA says you're out of the flood zone. And FEMA, the first letter in FEMA is federal. So trying to get the federal government to get in here and expedite something, whatever it may be, it takes a while. But we're waiting for FEMA to say, hey, these areas that were in the flood zone in Arnett-Benson are no longer in the flood zone. That frees up money. But at this point, it's unfortunate, but if you're in the flood zone, there is money, and Ms. Jessica can correct me, I think if you get a flood insurance or something along that line, am I correct?
I don't know about flood insurance, but you are correct in that we've already done some drainage improvement projects, and so we are currently, I think, starting the restudy process to remove that area from the FEMA floodplain maps. My best guess, I think, is probably that's still a couple years out. I can't remember the time frame off the top of my head. So going back to the community development grant programs that Karen Murphy administers, all of those grant programs have federal requirements tied to them. And so not being in a floodplain is one of those federal requirements that's put on that money. So there's unfortunately nothing we can do to get around that until we can get that area withdrawn from those floodplain maps. And so that is underway. I don't know the whole area, but if you want some more information, just let's touch base after and I'll get that for you.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
If the issue is with the federal money, is it not possible to put city money towards that? And then you would get around that federal issue?
My understanding is it's the flooding that they're referring to is the flooding plain, let's call it that, has already been taken care of.
Okay.
FEMA has got to come in here, if I'm not mistaken,
No,
and say everything's good, everything's been corrected, you're no longer in the flood zone. But they've got to put their stamp on that piece of work, or it's a piece of paper that says everything's okay now. That frees up the money.
That frees up the federal money. But what I'm saying is like, Lubbock has money. And so in order to get around that issue, because Lubbock didn't take care of its flooding issue for so long, one possibility is that Lubbock could put city money towards that to help the citizens until the federal government gets around to it.
So you're absolutely correct. A city could put money towards anything that the city council desires to put money towards. We do a budget process every year, and through that budget process, the total dollars available are very limited. So the city council every year has to look at what are all the needs for the entire city and what can those dollars pay for. And so a lot of decisions are made on what programs that we put together. Now, the city council does have a couple grant programs that are specific. I think they're geographically located. And I don't know everything about those, but same thing, if you will give us your name and number, I will get you some more information to see. Those grant programs pay for certain things, and I'm so sorry, it's just not one of my departments. I'm not as familiar and well-versed to talk about it off the top of my head. But
Yeah, no, that's...
I believe the, excuse me, the North and East Lubbock, it took away the LCDC, that's what it used to be called. Now there is around $370,000 available for, I believe the neighborhoods are Arnett Benson, Jackson, Guadalupe. There's about 4 neighborhoods, geographical neighborhoods, that are being, I don't want to use the word targeted, but that's where the money is going now. And Brooke, please.
I'm also not an expert, I apologize, and it's not my department either, but you're absolutely correct, Councilman Chadis. I believe their home rehabilitation grant funds, and Karen Murphy's department does oversee that as well. And I do believe you all, the city council, assigned certain geographical areas, and I do believe it's District 1 and 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
I just don't know them off the top of my head, but I'm happy to get you that information. And so the city did allocate some funds to house rehabbing, but I'm not sure what it compares to on the federal amounts that we get, but Karen does oversee that. And I can't remember, it was upward of 20 to 30 houses, I believe, that they were able to assist last year.
It was last year was, I think it was 15 to 20 houses that were rehabbed. Again, $370,000 is a lot of money. But when you go to rehabbing homes, it could mean 15, 20 houses. It does make an impact. But again, if we had more money, we'd have a larger impact. Alice.
Yes, I have another question that's come up at our meeting, at our neighborhood meeting, and that has to do with codes violations throughout the various neighborhoods, because we have some specifics in Guadalupe, we have some in Jackson, and we have some in Arnett Benson. And so when the calls are made, and I believe Mr. Is it Walker? Mr. Walker is here, and I believe that he's also presented information to our group, but when the calls are made about specific concerns about homes that are in the neighborhoods that have, either trash or weeds or possible vacated homes that are not being attended to, and we make the calls, then what would be the process to follow back up to determine if, if they're going to be able to do something about that, or what would be the best way to handle that?
Okay, I'll get to Stuart. Stuart will answer in just a minute. Again, when the phone call is initiated, as I said earlier, who did you talk with? Was a commitment made? When will this house be boarded up? Or when will, whatever the issue might be, try to get a commitment. If the answer is, hey, it may take a week, we'll make that phone call a week later and try to speak to the same person that you spoke with originally. Sometimes you may not be able to, but make the effort. I know, again, when I call, it gets taken care of. So maybe when you do find the issue, take a photo, take a picture, mail it to me, mail it to code enforcement, get as much information as you can from that house or whatever the problem may be, okay? But let's, again, a photo goes a long ways, or a video, and forward that information to the departments. Stuart, anything to add to that?
No, just exactly to echo that. By all means, if you call in, try to get a name, who you talk to, get a phone number where you can call them back. I've got cards. My number's on my cards. You're more than welcome to call me and use me as a point of contact for my department. Most folks, when they call in, they just talk to 311 and give the complaint to them, and it gets put into the system, and then it gets passed to my department. But if you want more in-depth information, ask to talk to an inspector, ask to talk to a code supervisor, or ask to talk to me, the department director. Each case may have its own eccentricity. It may have its own twists and turns. So we may not be able to give you a date, when a case is going to be resolved, because ultimately it's always up to the property owner. We're asking the property owner to correct something on their property. In some of the cases, we have the ability to go in and abate those violations, but in some of them we don't. So it just depends on that type of case.
Talking about the budget, the funds available for perhaps remodeling or whatever house, property. It is my understanding, and if there is someone here that can confirm that, it's my understanding that you've got a day that these funds become available. I don't know off the top of my head when that is, and you've got to get on that list, because if you're not on that list and money's run out, that's it for that year till the next budget year, fiscal year, however it's formulated.
Karen Murphy, and I apologize, I don't have that date, Sam, but it is date sensitive. The enrollment period starts on this particular day and it ends at this date. And I can get back with you on that information. But it is date.
I just wanted to add.
Yeah.
And I know that once the budget is over,
It is date sensitive. And again, the 370,000 that we talked about, again, it's low income and it's availability. And you're right, once the money runs out, the well is dry. There's nothing else we can do about that. But I can get back with you on those dates.
Are these dates published?
The dates are published. It's made, yes, the dates are published, Manny.
We've been talking a lot about Arnett Benson, Guadalupe, Jackson, all that. Let's address try to address the homeless situation of downtown, especially, I'm sure you're aware of the city councilman of District 1, South Overland. I don't live there, but I know for a fact that is a hot topic. What's going on with that, Councilman?
A hot topic, excuse me, hot topic throughout the city. Okay, homelessness, it is an ongoing problem, especially in the Overton area. It is being addressed at this point. It's been talked about.
How is it being addressed?
I'm fixing to get to that. It's being addressed that they would like to start enforcing the laws that are already in the books. Let's not write any more laws. Let's start enforcing the laws. My problem with that, Pat, is by incarcerating, let's say, John because he's homeless, tomorrow he'll be back out again.
I agree with you, Juan.
And that is an ongoing problem. Unfortunately, to end homelessness, you need a home. There's organizations out there, religious organizations, 501c3 organizations that are making an effort. But again, I believe the homeless population, roughly about 350 to 400 people. How do you house that many people with what money to do that? The churches, the food pantries, Salvation Army, organizations out there are making an effort. But again, we look at the people that are the organizations that are feeding, housing, showers, lockers, that are providing these services. They're located around the Overton area. And I would say probably within a 5-block square area, and it's unfortunate that's where it's located. I think there's 47, 48 houses that have already been built to house the homeless. But in order to get in there, you've got to be enrolled in a program, be for alcohol, be for mental issues, But you've got to start some type of work so you can pay for this house also. It is subsidized, but at one point or another, you will be, I'd say that person will be paying 75, 80% of the rent for that house. Now they've become productive in society. Not to talk bad about it, but in order to own a house, you've got to be able to make that mortgage payment or the rent payment or whatever it may be. We are addressing it. We will be speaking to the council in the next few meetings. It will be happening. We recognize it, but and I've said it in public, I'm not an advocate for incarcerating the homeless for being homeless. To me, that's not the solution. But how do you begin to house 400 people or 350 or whatever the number may be? You know, we, the city, we don't have that kind of budget. So we're relying on, I say we, the public's relying on the 501s, the churches, or somebody else to step up to do that. To end homelessness, I don't think my life's long enough to say I will see homelessness end in my lifespan. It won't. And granted, you've seen pictures, you've seen stories where there's other cities that have got even bigger problems with the homelessness. Olga.
I think, Juan, what people have in mind, and they're like, you know, if it's a Lubbock problem, that means citywide. And they're like all over here on this side of town. If the city's really concerned and they would want to do something, then evaluate Lubbock compared to other cities. Because Lubbock's not the only city that's homeless. I mean, that has homeless people.
Like, sure, I didn't say that.
Right. But what I'm saying is compare it to Dallas, compare it to San Antonio.
Compared to Austin.
There is programs within those cities that they do help the homeless in one way or another.
Yeah.
And the city council can do. It's not so much that we want the city council to include homeless on the budget, but if you're relying on 501c3 organizations or other entities such as that, is maybe consider matching what they do, the city, in some way or another. You know, find ways and not just like, I'm just dependent on this. It's a city problem. Lubbock's all concerned from all sectors of town. Let's treat it like that and not just emphasize in this area to put them in homes and homeless homes, or, you know, because why keep them in the area that's not helping them? Put them in different areas. Give them the opportunity to have other opportunities in other sectors of the town. I think we should treat it like that if that's what we really mean.
We would actually we'd have to expand the services that are available in the downtown area to other areas in town also. A lot of these folks don't have transportation and stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons some of the housing is located in this area. You've got, you know, access to mental health facilities, you got access to Salvation Army, you've got access to the food banks and stuff like that are in this area. So people would have to be willing to expand those services outside of the pretty much the downtown area. They still have to have funding to ride city bus. So if they're not employed yet, then we have to look at transportation for them to and from those places.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant. On the homelessness, we recognize the problem. There's no quick, easy, cheap solution for this. Open Door is doing a good job. I get the phone calls. They need to be relocated to another neighborhood. But then again, wherever they go, the neighborhood's going to be up in arms over it. You know, and I hear it, well, anywhere but my neighborhood. Well, again, we as a city, we can't remove Open Door from where they are. They're there. They would have to be voluntarily decide this is what we want to do. We want to relocate for whatever reason it may be. But Jessica, if I'm wrong, please. We can't shut a business down. We can't ask them, pick up your stuff, relocate to another neighborhood.
You're right, and there are two council members, or one council member, I guess, that is currently two, that are currently leading a homelessness committee, and they have been looking at a lot of other cities, so they really have been traveling and evaluating other programs. They gave a first report to the city council, I believe, in December.
Yes.
Is that right? And there are ongoing discussions and planning activities that are currently happening. Open Door, has been the topic of a lot of discussions recently as well. Open Door has a program where they do put homeless people in housing. And I will tell you that Open Door actually has houses all over the city. So it's not concentrated in one area, at least through their programs. They are spread out. There are a lot of other programs as well that are run that I think are all actively trying to do similar things. And so I think there are a lot of efforts ongoing. There's still a lot more that we're working to try to help and get done.
Yeah.
So speaking of homelessness in the Overton area, one thing that we like to talk around is the fact that we have this homeless issue in Overton, which is the exact neighborhood that got knocked down however many years ago, causing a lot of this homeless issue. Are there plans in place to make sure that doesn't happen to neighborhoods, especially in North Lubbock?
Are you referring to gentrification?
Well, yeah, I mean, Overton got knocked down. We had a lot of low-income housing there, and that low-income housing has not been replaced. And so that was some of what Pat was mentioning, is that we need that low-income housing because the housing that was there, those people got moved out. So a lot of them lost their homes and have never recovered from that.
Okay, a lot of it, and I wasn't here when that happened, but my understanding is a lot of the people that got displaced, I was going to say something else, that got displaced were renters, if you will. They weren't property owners.
Okay.
So now, affordable housing, that would take someone that is a contractor, a builder, to take that initiative.
Right, and the whole problem is that nobody took that initiative, and so we have high rent places for the students to live, but not for the people who had lived there for so long. So what I'm asking is, are there plans in place, if we want to make sure that homeless issue doesn't expand, are there plans in place to protect the neighborhoods, especially in North Lubbock, to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen?
I'm very familiar with that. We displaced them. I've got to correct you, Juan. I've been an advocate for that for a long time. A lot of the was low-income home owners who was displaced or revitalized out of Overton. Over the years, they became renters because what they was given for the home in Overton did not qualify them to buy a new residence, so they became a renter. And over the years, several of them renters became displaced and homeless. And that's what you're trying to say, and I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you 100%.
So my question is, there are rumors that the same plan is being developed for North Lubbock neighborhoods. So are there...
Your question, I haven't heard that question.
Okay.
I haven't heard of any neighborhood that's fixing to be displaced.
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen in the next year, but there are, I mean, because I've been in the neighborhood association meetings, and there are rumors. So it's in East Lubbock as well as in North Lubbock, but there is worry among people in these neighborhood associations that this is going to happen in their neighborhoods as well. And so what I'm asking, is there any concern from the city council or any way of protecting that to...
Of course there's a concern. It's a big concern to me, but can you share the information that you're talking about? Which neighborhood are you referring to?
Jackson is the one that
Okay, right now, as far as I understand, the Jackson or the Marshall Sharp corridor which is the feeder street or the Avenue or 3rd Street to the access road. That's the only area that I'm aware of that's being developed. I haven't heard any conversation, and again, I'm not privy to a lot of these conversations, but the developer wants to go in there and buy your home in the Jackson neighborhood. That's entirely up to you if you want to sell or not. But as far as going in there and doing a massive buyout to this neighborhood, I have not heard, you've got more information than I do, because I haven't heard that conversation.
Okay.
Now, I'll leave it at that. I haven't been a part of that conversation. I haven't heard it. This is the first I've heard of that conversation.
Okay. I mean, I just know that question in neighborhood associations throughout Lubbock, that question and that concern keeps coming up.
It's a major concern. Anytime a neighborhood's fixing to be displaced, I'll do whatever I can to help that neighborhood out.
Okay.
But as of right now, that conversation has not happened. I hope that answers your question.
Kind of.
Well, I mean, it's real simple.
There, what?
There is a plan with no plan?
Well, I'm just saying with.
That's what I'm hearing.
No. What I am saying is that people are suddenly getting offers on their homes that they didn't even 2-3 years ago. That there are people buying up land in different neighborhoods in expectation.
Anticipation?
Yeah. Well, see, to answer that, I get phone calls and I get letters at my house that they want to buy my home. But yet that's up to me if I want to sell my home or not. Any property owner can't be pressured to sell your house. They can't. Come on. If you want to sell your house, it's entirely up to you. Okay. Between you and whoever wants to buy the house, if you need to go negotiate that price. But my house is not for sale. I get these letters periodically. I want to buy your home. They just canvass the zip code. That's what they do. But some people may read into it for whatever reason. Sam?
There's companies that put a dream in your mind, definition of an anticipation, that I will get, $150,000 for a $60,000 house and land.
I mean, that's not what these offers are.
I don't know. I'm just responding to what I'm reading from your mind.
Yeah.
It's been at least a year. One of the realtors that's out there in the Jackson area around the Marshall Sharp corridor, and they were, back then, I believe they were offering like $15, $16 a square foot for the property. And the average property in that neighborhood was renting about $150,000, $125,000. As Sam said, it's a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 home. They were asking me for a recommendation. I can't recommend anything. I'm here just to kind of get you guys together. I'm advocating for no one. I never have. But some people, as Sam said, they get blinded by the zeros. I've got a $60,000 home. Somebody's offered me $150,000 for it. It's a heck of a deal. Well, really, is it? But again, that's entirely up to that person. But nobody's going to run in there and run you off out of your property or buy your property or make you sell your property. It's a property owner's property to do as that person deems fit. Yes, sir.
What I've seen with real estate, there's a lot of little cards, like a postcard, and they write it up, paint it up, real pretty.
Yeah, that's not what
Oh, okay. But there's a lot of people offering to buy properties and house, but once they get there, they're like 1/3 of what you're thinking that you may obtain for it.
Guys, excuse me, it's 7:10. It's getting kind of cold and rainy out there. Can we, one more, Gwen, please?
Yes, and this is the best one. How can we get more town hall meetings from our district councilman, Juan Chadis? How long do you have, and why can't we have more of these things? You bring us, us the information of what what our district is. We haven't had a town hall meeting since I can remember, and that's why I'm here, because I mean, this is informative to us. But I would like Maggie Trejo or something, go to the communities and have town hall meetings.
Well, what I'm trying to do is have them here in the library, because if I haven't Maggie Trejo, other neighborhoods want to know why. We're having another, it's a territorial thing, and I hate to use that, but that's the truth. This is neutral ground.
Okay, but this is
But
2020.
to answer your question, there's going to be another one. Now, thinking ahead, maybe around March, April, we'll have another town hall meeting. I'd like to get it around every 6 months, more or less. And if you think there's something that you need to discuss with, let's say, your neighbors, pick up the phone, give me a call. Let's talk about it over coffee, maybe at your house or another neighbor's house, and let's get together. It doesn't have to be a large crowd. If it's 3 or 4 people, that's fine. I'll bring the coffee. Let's sit down and let's have a dialogue. But a large meeting, town hall meeting, I want to say March, April. That'll be the next one. But again, if something happens between now and then, I think you've got my phone number. If not, I've got business cards up there. Give me a call.
I thank you because, this is informative. This takes a lot. And I know you're busy. I know you are. But like I said, as citizens, we're here to help. We want to be your advocate too. I've attended meetings, and some of them we're just spinning our wheels. We're getting the same thing. It's 2020. We want to make that difference. I do. I want to stand up for our district. I'm not going anywhere. I want to help you. That's the new mentality. Let's not go into 2020 thinking it's already been done so many times. Times are changing, and we need to catch up, because let me tell you, our elders are not getting any younger, and I need to help them. I want to help be their voice, because not all of them are on social media. Not all of them, get texts anymore. Some of them are senores. We need to help those people. We need to merge all these generations. But thank you very much. I do, give you thanks for having this town hall meeting.
And to add on to that, we need to be all inclusive. We need to include as many people as we can. Maybe next meeting, this place will be standing room only. But again, the weather had a lot to do with it. That's why I want to shut it down a little early, because of the weather. I want everybody to be safe out there. Please keep Officer Nicholas Reina, paramedic Eric Hill, and their families in your prayers, please. They're going through a very difficult time. LFR Matt Dawson, he's recovering. Keep him and his family in your prayers. It's to the point, guys, I mean, we're a tight-knit family. We're all a tight-knit family. We're from Lubbock. Let's not let that fall apart. These gentlemen went out there that morning expecting to go home and see their families that afternoon. Pat, you were a police officer. Nobody's guaranteed that you will return back home. But please keep these families in your prayers. God protect them, and they're going through a very difficult time. Again, thank you guys. I appreciate you being here. Lieutenant, Chief, I thank you for being here. Lieutenant, thank you. Everybody, thank you very much. Yes, please.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm loud in general. My name is Brian Isom. I'm the planning director with the City of Lubbock. We just wanted to make an announcement. So we're currently working towards a unified development code. We have people that we've contracted with, the Kindig-Keast Collaborative, will be performing a site visit in February. So we have a couple of meetings that we would like people to attend. So we're going to be attending public meetings and announcing it to everyone. So Monday, February 17th is a joint Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council meeting. It's at 5:30 at the City Council chambers. And then Tuesday, February 18th is an open house or open door meeting at City Hall in the City Council Committee Room 103 from 5 to 6. And what they'll be doing is presenting the first module out of the modules for the Unified Development Code.
What was your name again?
My name is Brian Isom.
Thank you all very much. We'll wrap it up. Please be careful on the way home. I got a text that some of the streets may be iced over, so be careful, slow down.